In this video, I'm going to give you a dating and relationships concept that if you understand it, will completely change your life and make your entire woman life, dating, relationship life, way easier and much less work. It really will change the way you think about your entire dating structure. And this is the concept of the thrill of the hunt man versus the pleasure of sex man. What in the hell am I talking about? Some of you know my content, already know this very well. I'm going to go into a deep dive in this right now. If you've never heard of this, get ready. It's going to change your life. As many of you know, I came out of the pickup artist world, and many years ago, I was very active on pickup artist forums, later more red pill forums. I have had thousands of conversations with men regarding pickup, dating, and relationship topics. And one of the common arguments I saw on these forums, and I was actually involved in a few of them myself, are men arguing about what counts in terms of getting laid and what didn't count. So here'd be a typical example. A guy would do online dating, and he would talk about how he's had sex with 32 different women using online dating apps. And some night game guy would come in and say, that doesn't count because it was online dating. That doesn't count. The fact that it was online and not real life cold approach means it doesn't count. And the online dating guy would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I had sex with 32 women. How can you possibly say it doesn't count? And the night game guy would say, that's right, it doesn't count. It doesn't count unless you did it in real life through real cold approach. That's game. What you're talking about isn't game. That's just a bunch of bullshit. Use the dating app to get laid, not you. And I would see a lot of these arguments. And a lot of guys on both sides of the arguments would make some very dumb points that didn't really make any sense. I noticed that some guys wanted the process of pickup and dating to be easy, to get what they wanted. But a lot of other guys wanted it to be difficult because that was the exciting aspect for them. That was kind of, in their minds, the point of pickup and dating and having sex with women, was to do things that were hard and then say, look at this hard thing that I accomplished. As a matter of fact, around that time, I read in one of Neil Strauss, that would be Style back in those days, one of Neil Strauss' dating books. And he mentioned online dating, and I got very excited because that was my specialty back then. And he said, yeah, I tried online dating. I immediately had sex with 5 different women, including a kindergarten teacher, and I immediately stopped doing it because it was too easy. And I sat there and I went, what? I remember sitting in my chair, reading that page going, what the hell? You stopped doing it because it was easy? Isn't the whole point of pickup and dating and all these techniques to make it easy? What the fuck are you thinking? And I was floored that there were a lot of people who had that attitude. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. The entire appeal for me for online dating, which is why I became an online dating expert, one of the biggest, frankly, online dating gurus in the world on the internet. The reason for that is because online dating was so easy as compared to day game. We got to get dressed up and then go out to a mall and then walk around for hours and talk to girls and get a bunch of phone numbers and text them back and they ignore your text. And that was a lot of work. Don't even get me started on night game. That's really a lot of work. And that's why I liked online dating. And other guys liked online dating because it was easier. It's not easy. Is online dating easy? No, but it's easier than day game and certainly night game. And that's true even today. But then as I did more research and thought more about this and analyzed what these guys were saying and had more conversations with both of these camps, I realized what was going on. There were 2 types of guys, 2 personality types, if you will, when it comes to dating and getting laid with women. One type of man wants the process to be hard because that's where he gets the satisfaction. He gets the satisfaction from doing something that was difficult that most other men can't do. Going after that smoking hot girl in the club and trying to hit on her and dealing with her ASD and dealing with her AMR and working on her. And finally, at 3:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, you have sex with her when all the other guys at the club wanted to have sex with her and couldn't because you persevered and got through it. And that makes you feel fucking great. Now, there's another category of guy where what I just described sounds insane. I'm in the second category. Here's my ideal first date. I've mentioned this before. My ideal first date is we meet at a Starbucks 5 minutes from my house. She walks in, I look her up and down. It takes about 3 minutes. I say, okay, you'll do. Then we both go to my house and immediately have sex. Literally as soon as we walk in the door. And then after having sex, then we talk. Now, that would horrify the I want it to be hard guy because his objective is not to get to sex. His objective is to accomplish something difficult. So these 2 types of men are called the thrill of the hunt man or the pleasure of sex man. I will describe both because you're in one of these categories. By the way, if you like this topic of dating multiple attractive women without cheating or lying, while having high location independent income and living a free lifestyle as a man, you should subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, leave a comment on this video, leave a like on this video, and that way you'll be sure to get this content for free in the future. So what's the difference between these two types of men? They are starkly different, and let me make this clear, neither one of these men is wrong. There is no right or wrong. As I start describing these two types, you're gonna immediately start thinking, well, that type's stupid. No, there is no right or wrong. It's like saying introvert versus extrovert. Is one right or wrong? No, it's just two different personality types. There are pros and cons to each. I'll cover those in a second. The thrill of the hunt man loves that. He loves the hunt. He's got to get out there and get new women and go through the process, and he wants it as difficult as possible because that's what turns him on, that's what gets him excited. And when he finally achieves victory of having sex, that smoking hot girl that was really hard to get and took hours and hours, he loves it. He thinks that's fantastic because he beat the thrill of the hunt. And then shortly, he has to be on the hunt again for a new girl. He has to be on the hunt. That's what he enjoys. The pleasure of sex man is the exact opposite from the thrill of the hunt man. The pleasure of sex man just wants to get laid, and ideally someone hot. He doesn't want it to be hard. He doesn't want it to take a long time. He just wants pussy. He just wants to get laid and then move on with his life. He doesn't want it to be hard. Matter of fact, he looks at the thrill of the hunt guys and say, why are you working so hard? That's so stupid. And the thrill of the hunt guys look at the pleasure of sex guys and say, you're a beta, you're a pussy, you're an AFC, which is what we used to call them back in the pickup artist days. That's not real game. That doesn't count. You know what the fuck you're doing. I'm the real pickup artist. I'm the real player. I'm the real alpha male, not you. Again, right, wrong, neither. They're both right. There's no right or wrong. It's just two different types of men. The thrill of the hunt man has several traits. For example, generally speaking, they don't like online dating. There are some thrill of the hunt men who do, but they prefer live, real, in their world, cold approach. Day game, night game. They love that stuff. They think it's great. Traveling to other countries, going to bars and clubs, meeting women, trying to get laid. These guys love it because they love the hunt. They are also into sexual newness versus sexual variety, something I will cover in a minute. Thrill of the hunt men get bored with new women very quickly. It is not uncommon for a thrill of the hunt guy to have sex with a woman 4, 5, 6 times and immediately start getting bored, and now I need a new girl. That is normal for the thrill of the hunt man. It's not wrong or bad. It's just part of his personality. Pleasure of sex men are different. They tend to go after things like online dating, if they have more money, sugar daddy game. A lot of pleasure of sex men are into hookers, which I'm not, but a lot of them are. They just want to get to the pussy. They just want to get to the sex. They don't want it to be hard. They want it to be quick and easy and simple, and they don't want to work too hard. They don't want to grow as men. They're not into any of that thrill of the hunt stuff. They just want to get to the sex. Now, I need to make a point about this. Some guys get upset when I talk about this, and they start saying things like, how can you possibly say that thrill of the hunt men don't like sex because it's called pleasure of sex? To be clear, thrill of the hunt men love having sex. It's not like they don't like to have sex. Of course they do. The process to get to the sex is very important for thrill of the hunt men, whereas for pleasure of sex men, the process to get to sex is not important at all. They just want the sex. And it's also not like pleasure of sex men do kind of get a little high when they accomplish something in their sex lives that was difficult. I admit, even though I'm a hardcore pleasure of sex man, there have been times in my life, especially the last few years, where I went, I did that. Yeah, it felt kind of good, but that's not my objective. My objective is not to accomplish difficult things. My objective is to have sex 3 times a week with hot girls, and that's it. I don't care how I get there. Now, let me talk about sexual newness versus sexual variety, which is a related topic to thrill of the hunt versus pleasure of sex. All men are hard biologically wired to want sexual variety, right? That's why monogamy doesn't work long-term, because men cheat. Why? Because you are wired to have multiple women. You were never, ever, 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 ever designed to have sex with one woman for the next 57 years. Not even for 2 or 3 years. You were never designed for this. Your entire body, your entire physiology, your entire psychology was designed to have sex with multiple women. So we as men, with rare and unusual exceptions, there's always exceptions when you talk about human beings, but the exception proves the rule. We as men like sexual variety. Even if you're totally in love with one girl and she's your perfect 10, eventually you're going to want to have sex with someone else, right? And that's normal and natural. So that applies to both pleasure of sex men and thrill of the hunt men. Now there's another need called sexual newness, which is different than sexual variety. Sexual newness means you need new girls even if you have many girls on rotation at the moment right now. So that is the key difference between a thrill of the hunt man and a pleasure of sex man. The pleasure of sex man doesn't have a strong need for sexual newness. He has it. All men have it to some degree, but he doesn't have it as very strong. The thrill of the hunt guy is hardcore into newness. So here's how this works. Let's do an experiment with you. Let's say you were to get 3 women who you consider perfect 10s to you, okay? All 3 women are perfect 10s. They're now going to date you forever as girlfriends or MLTRs or even wives, whatever fantasy you have. 3 girls, and now you can fuck them forever. They will have sex with you, whatever they want forever. They're perfect 10s to you. Just one catch. You are not allowed to have sex with any other women except these 3. That's it. Just those 3. That's it. Now, if you said, boy, that'd be awesome, I would do that, you are probably a pleasure of sex guy. If you said, that sounds great, but as soon as I said you can't have sex with any other girls, you went, whoa, wait a minute. No, I'm not going for that deal. That means you're probably a thrill of the hunt guy. A pleasure of sex guy would love that model. I have said many times, my Disney fantasy that'll never happen is that I have my wife, Pink Firefly, and then I have some kind of super FB on the side who is long-term, who sticks with me for like 15 years plus, and I have just these 2 women who are perfect 10s to me. I would be perfectly happy for that for the next 15 years plus, if not longer, because I'm a pleasure of sex guy. If you're a thrill of the hunt guy, that would horrify you because you're going to get bored with both these women, if not the second one, and you're going to need new women all the time. So just realize if you're a thrill of the hunt guy, sexual newness is something that is very important to you that you have to integrate into your long-term lifestyle. Does that mean the thrill of the hunt men can never get married or never get a girlfriend? Yes, they can, but the problem is they're probably going to get bored with their wife sexually. You can be married without having a lot of sex. Some people do it, but you're going to have to design a system in an OLTR marriage or something similar where you're constantly bringing in new FBs into your relationship all the time, every few months, every few weeks, so you don't get bored. If you're a pleasure of sex guy, you don't have to worry about that. You're good to go once you get your solid women on rotation. Now, does that mean it sucks to be a thrill of the hunt guy and it's great to be a pleasure of sex guy? No, there are pros and cons to each. Let's start with the thrill of the hunt guy. The advantages of being a thrill of the hunt guy is that you are probably naturally pretty charismatic, pretty confident, and pretty good with girls. Most likely. Thrill of the hunt men tend to have much stronger natural game, by far, than pleasure of sex men. Most pleasure of sex men tend to be lazy beta males. Thrill of the hunt men tend to be more alpha, tend to be more playerish, tend to be more naturals. If you've met or have known a natural, what they call a natural, these guys who are naturally good with women from a young age, almost always these guys are thrill of the hunt men. Being a thrill of the hunt man means you're pretty cool, and you probably don't have to work that hard at getting good with women. Maybe you have to work at it, but you won't have to work nearly as hard as the typical pleasure of sex man. That guy's gonna have to work really hard to get with women. Trust me, I relate. I had to work for 2 or 3 years to get to that point. But if you're a thrill of the hunt guy, you're already kind of down the road a ways in terms of your woman skill and your game skill. That's an advantage of being thrill of the hunt. The disadvantage of being a thrill of the hunt guy is what I mentioned earlier. When you get into relationship mode, you're going to have a higher bar of work and a higher level of complexity to deal with than the thrill of the hunt guy because you get bored. And so you're going to have to figure out a way to integrate a model into your life where you can have a long-term relationship with a woman you really like, a long-term MLTR or OLTR wife, while constantly bringing in new girls on the side. Constantly. You need to integrate that into your life. Your wife or your girlfriend needs to understand that you have that need to constantly bring new women in. If she's more the kind of woman who wants one steady girl and doesn't want a bunch of new girls, she's probably not going to be compatible with you. You have to actually integrate that into your relationship models, which is harder, takes more time, more complexity, and more effort. That's the downside of being a thrill of the hunt guy. Now let's switch to pleasure of sex men. The advantage of being a pleasure of sex guy is once you develop your perfect relationship models and you bring an X number of women on rotation, you're done. You're good to go for the rest of your life. I reached that many, many years ago. I was good to go for the rest of my life. I have rosters of multiple women in several different countries all over the world. I am literally good to go, even if I never bring another woman into my life, which actually would be very nice. Because I'm a pleasure of sex guy, I don't need sexual newness like a thrill of the hunt guy does. So that's the advantage of the pleasure of sex guy, is that your goals are actually much more simple and much more achievable. That's the advantage. What's the disadvantage of pleasure of sex men? Well, there's several of them. Pleasure of sex men tend to be more lazy. They tend to be more introverted. They tend to have worse game. They're not as good with women naturally as thrill of the hunt guys. So if you're a pleasure of sex guy, unfortunately, and I was in this category myself, you're going to have to put in a lot more work to get from zero to getting good with bringing new women into your life, the dating and pickup aspects of your woman life. Because you're going to find it tedious. You're going to find it a pain in the ass. You're not going to be naturally good at it. You don't want to do it because it's work and you'd rather do other things and all that fun stuff. Another disadvantage of pleasure of sex men is that they're more easily frustrated with women. Pleasure of sex men have, unfortunately, higher bars of standards for what they want women to be and how they want them to behave. And so it is more likely if you're a pleasure of sex guy, you're gonna get really pissed off with women not following the program and not doing this. And why did she break up? Why did she give me drama? Why this? Why that? Where the thrill of the hunt guy doesn't care about any of that bullshit. He's just there to hunt and have a great time. So these things usually don't bother him. But as a pleasure of sex man, they're gonna bother you a lot. So if you're a pleasure of sex guy, you need to learn to take a deep breath and relax. Read my book, The Unchained Man, at alphamale.book.com, and get to the point where you don't worry about this stuff. That is it. That is the breakdown on pleasure of sex versus thrill of the hunt men. If this has helped, you want more data on this, I can certainly do more videos on this. In the meantime, you should watch that video right there. One of the best dating techniques I can give you, the point system, and I will see you in that video.